Welcome to this video. We'll discuss the very first apparition of our Blessed Mother, known as Our Lady of the Pillar. It occurred in Zaragoza, Spain in the year 40 AD. Let us begin. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. It was the dawn of Christianity, and the apostles, they spread throughout the known world, carrying the gospel of Christ. And it was the task of St. James the Greater to convert Roman Spain. He at the time found himself in Aragon, Zaragoza, and he traveled through Castile, all the way up through Galicia, and back to Zaragoza. He found himself lamenting in Zaragoza, along the Ebro River, the fact that he could not convert many. He did, however, manage to baptize 8 people there in Zaragoza. And while he was lamenting, our Blessed Mother appeared to him, and she bilocated because she was still residing in Jerusalem under the care of St. John the Apostle. And she appeared in a pillar of jasper, atop the pillar, surrounded by angels. And she promised to St. James that this would be a place that will be filled with faith. And she also brought a more ominous message to St. James as well, regarding his own future, regarding his forthcoming martyrdom. Some of this story is actually captured by the Venerable Maria Agreda in the Mystical City of God. As she was writing about the life of our Blessed Mother, she was still alive, as I mentioned, and this was part of her life. And let me read a passage to you from the Mystical City of God regarding this. And this happens to be her relating to us the apparition to St. James the Greater in Spain. The Blessed Mother consoled St. James, saying, "My son James, the Most High and Mighty God of heaven has chosen this place that you may consecrate and dedicate here a temple and house of prayer, where, under the invocation of my name, he wishes to be adored and served, and all the faithful who seek my intercession will receive the graces they ask if they have true faith and devotion. And in the name of my Son, I promise them great favors and blessings. For this will be my temple and my house, my own inheritance and possession. And in testimony of my promise, this pillar will remain here, and on it my own image, that in this place you will build my temple, will last and endure with the holy faith until the end of the world." And she goes on to say, "This must be done at once, and when your work is accomplished, you will return to Jerusalem, where it is the will of my divine Son that you will make the sacrifice of your life, where he gave up his for the redemption of mankind." And just as our Blessed Mother has said, this same pillar has resided in the exact same spot, and it's a cylindrical pillar which is there from 40 AD for almost 2,000 years now. And it survived the invasion of the Muslims when they overran the Iberian Peninsula. And it survived the Spanish Civil War, when 3 bombs were dropped upon the shrine by the communists. However, the bombs did not detonate. And atop of the pillar is a statue of our Blessed Mother to commemorate her visit there. And there have, of course, been many miracles that have been associated with this shrine. Now, Before St. James departed, he built a very small, humble shrine with the people that he converted there at Zaragoza. And it was very tiny. It was the most 16 feet with a smaller width. And it held the pillar, and great miracles were accomplished there. And these miracles became known throughout all of Spain. And St. James' work and his life served as a seed for the faith there in Spain. It's a seed that will grow and expand beyond Spain's borders. Some of the miracles, and one in particular, is one of the most remarkable miracles that I've ever heard of. And it has to do with a poor man who was very devoted to the shrine. And this happened back in the 17th century, so it's not that long ago. He would go pray at the shrine. He could not work because he had an amputated leg. And he would go to the shrine and bring his concerns to our Blessed Mother, and he was very devoted. And he was a recipient of this miracle where his leg was actually restored. And with miracles such as that one, it leaves no question as to why the faith regarding the shrine still remains very strong to this day. Also, the idea or the image of the pillar and our Blessed Mother on top of it is reminiscent of the dream of St. Bosco. St. John Bosco dreamed of the tribulation of the church, and the imagery that he had in this dream was that there were two pillars, and there was a ship. It was the bark of Peter, the bark of St. Peter, and it was navigating through a great storm and very turbulent seas. And the way that he stabilized the ship was by keeping it between the two pillars. And one pillar was a pillar of our Blessed Mother, which is amazingly similar to this shrine and the pillar and the Blessed Mother appearing on top of it. And the other pillar was, of course, the pillar of our Eucharist. Now, in 44 AD, after the shrine was built, as requested by our Blessed Mother, St. James returned to Jerusalem, where he did, in fact, become a martyr by the sword. And the story does not end there for St. James in Spain. His remains were returned to Spain, where this shrine has provided much fruit and much conversion. And his remains were gladly received there in Spain. And after a series of events, they currently reside at the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela, Santiago being Spanish for St. James. And it's also a happy recipient of the ancient pilgrimage known as the Camino De Santiago, or the Way of St. James, which is a pilgrimage route that goes all through Western Europe. And it's probably the most famous one in Catholicism. It typically starts either in France or on the Spanish side of the Pyrenees. However, there are routes going to other nations, and people would walk miles and miles and miles for days and weeks through this Camino de Santiago to visit his remains at the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. I said it's an ancient pilgrimage route, but is still widely used today. In fact, there was a movie that was made about it called The Way, and I highly recommend that movie. especially for one who maybe is not familiar with this pilgrimage. It was done very solemnly. Now let's talk about some of the fruits of this apparition, of the shrine, of the work of St. James in Spain. The feast day of Our Lady of the Pillar happens to be October 12th, and it's the same day that Columbus landed in the New World on board his ship, the Santa Maria, which is Spanish for Holy Mary. And one of the first matters that he attended to was to celebrate Mass upon his arrival in the New World. And from there, the Spanish spread the faith throughout the New World, from the Caribbean to California, from Mexico to Peru, and across the Pacific to the Philippines. They left a legacy of Catholic missions that still stand in testimony today. And it all started with this seed planted in the field of Zaragoza, in our shrine of Our Lady of the Pillar. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you found this little-known apparition of our Blessed Mother, and very important one, to be invigorating. And please like and subscribe to help us promote this content. Thank you, and God bless.